you lift me up. I hope that I can do the same for you. You were there when no one else would. Take the burden away, that's how we do. Sister, I need you to walk with me on this journey. Yes, hold me accountable, cause sometimes I need to know the truth. Sister, I love you. We're one and the same, cause we're sharing the pain of the world as we know it to be.
Welcome to the Woman to Woman show. Again, this is going to be a very exciting show. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. We appreciate you. Please share, follow, friend, and like all of our co-hosts. This platform is for mature adults, mature women, mature men who are just on another level in life, who have learned lessons, who have knowledge and wisdom, and are just ready to go to another level. I'm excited tonight because we have a very special guest. Not only is she my friend, my colleague, but she is such a ray of light. Our guest is Cherie Syfax, our relationship coach, relationship expert. She probably wouldn't want me to say that, but that's what she is, who has been featured in OWN Magazine, Essence.com, and the New York Times, just to name a few places she has been, along with her husband, Tracy Syfax. And we are glad to have you here. So welcome, Cherie. Welcome, Netta. Welcome, Shayla. Welcome, Theo. Come on in, ladies. Let's have a conversation with the people. Come on in and say hello, starting with Netta.
Thank you so much for having me, Trey. Thank you for that beautiful introduction. And I hope my words bless the audience this evening. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yes. Come on in, Netta, and say hello.
Hi, everybody. Excited to be here and for us to glean from each other and support each other as wonderful women on this planet.
Yes. Come on, Theo. Unmute.
Good evening, everyone. I'm also excited to be here and looking forward to a lively conversation this evening with my sister friends.
Come on in, Shayla.
Hello, everybody. Again, welcome. Thank you for joining us. And yeah, we're looking forward to another amazing conversation.
So our topic tonight is, what do women really want? Drum roll, please. So we have 2 married women here, and we have 3 single women here. And we're going to talk from every aspect because we just want to have a general conversation that everybody can probably relate to. So let's talk about pet peeves first, because I want to go straight for it. I want to go straight for the jugular vein. What is some of your pet peeves when it comes to a man? And whoever wants to jump in first, you can.
Wow. Okay. Pet peeve. And I had to think about that one because, being single, haven't been
off.
What turns me hygiene, bad hygiene.
Oh. Yes. Would you be able to get past that? And would you be able to have that conversation?
Wow. It probably would be difficult to have for me because I always try to, be nice and the nurturing part. But yeah, if it's bad enough, I probably will be able to find a gentle way to say it.
What's one of your pet peeves, Theo?
I was thinking, like, what is my pet peeve? I would say one of my pet peeves, I guess the biggest one, is someone who is dishonest.
Mm-hmm.
That's a killer for me. I just like someone to just be straightforward. Like, don't worry about my feelings. Just give it to me straight, because sometimes I think men think they are saving you from pain by not being honest with you, but they don't realize that when you finally find out the truth, that is probably more painful than it would have been if they were just straightforward. So I think one of my pet peeves is just someone that's just not honest and straightforward.
Netta, we know that you're married, but tell us about your pet peeves. I know you got some.
Absolutely. I'm gonna stick with Theo. Dishonesty is huge. Just be who you are. I like authenticity. Don't try to showboat or try to present yourself in a way that is not who you really are. In terms of men or friends, I just need authenticity and honesty.
And I'm going to tell mine, and I'm going to ask our dating expert a question. Mine would be when you say you're going to do something, do it. And
Mm.
I mean this from the bottom of my little tiny, well, I got a big old heart, but the little part of my heart. Whatever you say you're going to do, do. If you say you're going to call at 9 o'clock, please call at 9 o'clock. Or if you can't, text me and just say, I'm somewhere or something happened. One thing that just grinds my gears is a person that does not do what they say they're going to do. And this is a way that I have begun, and I'm going to ask Cherie when we come back in, to vet people, right? Like, I'm talking to you, I'm vetting you to see if you're going to keep your word. And it starts with the little things. So, Cherie, come on in. And how should we be having these conversations? Like Shayla said, her thing is hygiene, right? So,
Yep.
are we having these conversations? My thing is be consistent. Am I being too harsh? So come in and just talk a little bit about what you just heard.
Yeah, so let me introduce myself. So as Trey said, I'm Cherie Syfax. Just to give you a little background on me, I met my husband online during COVID, and we dated virtually for a couple months. Then we saw each other in person May 22nd of 2020. My husband asked for my hand in marriage 7 months later, New Year's Eve. And then we were married on May 22nd, 2021, an exact year from the date that we saw each other. So to Trey's point, since then, we've been featured on several publications talking about our love story, our journey, my transformation, and a lot of the work that I did and now that I help women do in the dating sphere and just in mindset and in life. So to answer your question, Trey, yeah, I mean, I think that it is important that you understand who you are. I think that's the biggest and one of the most attractive things about women, our confidence in knowing who we are. So just understanding what those things are about us that could potentially be a challenge in a relationship. So hygiene, that's super important to most people. And there's just certain ways that we have those conversations. So it's not necessarily about what you say, it's about how you say it. And we have the ability to be feminine, we have the ability to be sweet, we have the ability to lean into a man, we have the ability to shift our voice and not talk to them as if we're colleagues and friends, but someone that we're romantically dating, and having that compassion to have those conversations of whatever it is that bothers them or bothers you about them or things that they do. So that's the first thing. The second part about consistency, it's an interesting topic. I mean, most women would like for men to be consistent in the beginning, of course. Initially, though, a man is just vetting you too, and he doesn't have investment yet. And so I am a big proponent of, yes, do what you say. If you say you're going to call me at 7, let me know that you are or not, if you can't rather. But it's all in communication too and around sensitivity, because we're not perfect either. There are things that we say we're going to do and we don't possibly follow up, or we don't possibly do things perfectly. So there's always a bit of grace that I think that humans should allow for each other, and especially when we're in the dating world, because men are vetting us too. How flexible or how inflexible are we? How rigid are we? How hard and fast? Those types of things. So not that you don't want someone to live by their word, but we don't want to be such sticklers. I mean, God forgives us every day. We don't want to be such sticklers that we make it difficult for, or we're not flexible at all. So that's my thoughts on both those topics.
Oh,
That's great.
She said,
I love that.
She said, lean in. Go ahead, Theo. Were you going to say something?
I was gonna say I love it. I love when she said that we have to remember that men are vetting us as well.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like that, I really love that. Like, because that is something I think that as women we often forget.
Oh, she said, lean in.
Yeah.
She said, lean in. She said, you need to be soft and kind and gentle. Listen, ladies, we need to be soft, kind, and gentle, like Cherie said. She said, we've become so rigid. And why have we become so rigid? So let's go around the room with that quickly. Let's go with the single ladies on this one.
Mhm.
Why have we become so rigid? Let's go to Shayla first. Do you believe there's a reason why we become this way?
And I think, and I speak from my own experience, is that I mean I'm different now, but younger when I was younger, and in the relationships that I was in, I was rigid because I had certain expectations because that's what I was given. So I was expecting the man, to give the same in return. And then over the years, and as life happens and experience, you learn that you're not gonna always get what you give, but to Cherie's point about giving grace, you can't ask for what you're not going to give yourself. So I think the rigidity comes with really not really knowing, just lack of experience and not experience in life, and knowing that you're not perfect either, and
Oh.
you're not perfect, so you can't just expect the same thing from a man if you're not willing to be the same way.
Theo, what do
So I
you
think
think?
it's experience.
Yes. What do you think, Theo? Are we too
I would agree, because I would say, like, in my 20s and 30s, I was probably really rigid. One, because I didn't have children, so I had this hard and fast rule about not dating, right, men with children. And then as I got older, and like Shayla said, life happens. I had to become a little flexible. And then I think I went back to some rigidity when I had my heart, I'm not going to say my heart broken, but I experienced disappointments, right? And so I think that also made me become a little rigid and put walls up. But I do agree with something Cherie said, is that when I went through the recovery room and I really began to look at me, right, and move the men out of the equation, I think it really gave me a different viewpoint on what dating will look like for me in the future, right? Because I now know who I am and am really clear on what I want.
Come on now. See, y'all gonna start up again tonight. Because last week, let me tell you, Sharita, the ladies was on fire. They was not playing in the building. I'm gonna say, like, for so many women that I talk to, we've become, I don't even know if we're rigid now. I think we're numb. And you can speak to this.
Mm.
I think we're numb because we don't want to feel the pain of the disappointment that Theo just spoke about. I think we're numb because the very brown men that we expected to protect and be nice to us and kind to us and to be our covering disappointed us, disrespected us, and did things like ghosted us or did things that made us think that we were crazy when they had just changed their mind. So how do we get from, and I know you went through a process too, Cherie, because I know your
Yeah.
story. How do we get from the rigid, I'm numb, I'm scared, I don't know what I am? And they call us bitter Black women, but it has nothing to do with being bitter. How do we get from that to a place of comfort and trust in ourselves again?
Yeah, I think everyone made some really, really great points. I love Shayla's conversation around what is expected of us, right? So, in so many ways, I don't know everyone's background, but we've been raised by single parents, or, the media tells Black women, be strong. And somehow, some way, we have started to wear that as a badge of honor. And we're also trying to provide, right? And so because of that, we're going to school, we're getting more education, we're climbing the corporate ladder, and all those things have caused some rigidity. And a lot of it has to do with men being absent for a multitude of reasons. We know impact on our communities, our own broken homes, our history of not being able to be married. So there's several reasons why men are absent, but part of that is the case. The other part is around being hurt, being disappointed, not having things translate into what we wanted. We wanted that marriage. We thought that was that guy. But I'm really big on accountability. What I've noticed in my own journey and how it happened so quickly, and people ask that all the time, the dating part was I was intentional. What I find and what I found in my past relationships is I was dating willy-nilly. Now, when it came to me getting my education, I was on track. I knew what my major was going to be, what classes I had to take, and all that. When I was trying to get that corporate job, my resume was spotless. It was flawless. But about getting a man, it was random. I'm not talking to him about what his values are. I'm not talking to him about what his future looks like, if it includes a partner. I'm just hanging out with them, and that turns into one thing and then another. And I don't even know if we're dating. Are we? Has anyone said anything? Have we talked about exclusivity? Have we talked about what exclusivity even means? So we just don't have those skills. And because we don't have those skills, we get hurt. And the reality is that we have to look back and say, what part did I play in that relationship hurt? Because that's where I need to heal. And that's where I need to do something different. And that's really what my journey was all about. I wasn't living the life that I thought I could live. So I needed to pour into myself. I needed to self-correct in so many different areas of my life, not only in the rigidity of relationship, but just in friends and being nice, nasty at work and telling them I'm smart. So let me tell you in this email how smart I am, and just things that can be off-putting and not inviting and engaging. So just softening, just understanding who I am, just knowing I have power without even needing to shout it from the mountaintop. Just understanding that in my feminine, I'm much more attractive in so many ways. I don't have to come in and talk about, I'm an executive and I have multiple degrees and I have all these certifications. I don't have to say any of that. My feminine power exudes, my essence exudes a certain level of power without me having any communication. So it's really just tapping into ourselves, being accountable for ourselves, reconciling those relationships, making peace with that, because that guy probably didn't have any skills either, the same way we didn't. So we were all on a crash course collision, and understanding how we have to vet differently. We have to have different and uncomfortable conversations. We have to, in my mind, I had a timeline. If my husband didn't ask by a certain time, I was moving on. He was amazing, but I was going to move on because I had a goal and I was going to be intentional about it, the same way I was intentional about getting my degree, the same way I was intentional about getting my job.
Oh, Lord. Drop the mic. Help. I'm about to get a butterfly Tootsie Roll and do the running man. What y'all know about that? Every lady that's on here, I sure hope that y'all took notes just now. She said be intentional, and we out here random, willy-nilly, sleeping with men, doing wife duties, taking care of kids, helping him pay his child support, all to get left in the dust.
Being mad at the woman who you pay child support to.
Right.
You become that woman.
all because of the choices that we are making. And it's all about accountability. So if you just tuned in, you're tuned into the Woman to Woman show. And tonight we are talking about what women really desire. And we have our special guest, Cherie Syfax, who is a dating expert who's been featured on an OWN magazine, New York Times, and Essence.com. So we're going to flip this around. This question is for everyone, including the married people, because there's some things going on in the world right now, right? The world is like an open orgy or open Sodom and Gomorrah or whatever you want to call it. And so many people are conforming to this. Should we be conforming to any degree? And I'll start with you, Netta.
I think that everyone should have their values in place and communicate that with your spouse. We've been married for 25 years, so there's an understanding that we've arrived at. We weren't always there. Experience, conversation, some ups, some downs, some peaks and valleys. We had to learn what was important to each of us and then talk about that. He can't know my expectations if I don't share them. And same for me. And that was an area that we had to grow in. And speaking about rigidity before, I didn't know I was rigid. I just had expectations based upon my experience with my parents' relationship. And so when I brought that into our marriage, he didn't have that same background. My parents have now been married 52 years, and they still do every single thing together. And so I brought that experience, and I didn't marry my father. So I had an expectation that was rigid and wasn't even aware of it. So I just wanted to throw that in there. But no, you need to be sure of what your expectations are in your family, in your home. And we are not extremely influenced by the outside because our foundation is sure.
Go on, Cherie. I see your lips moving. What that come unmute? Was you
No, I
saying?
was just saying that was a great answer.
Yes.
Yeah, it's interesting. There's, so much fluidity in the world now. And I have a certain moral compass that I live by. And I don't let that sway me too far one way or the other. At the end of the day, I have to be able to look at myself and be comfortable with who that person is and be okay with my actions and all those things. So while, I don't judge, however, I just have, the guidelines that I live by. And my husband and I share those same principles as things that we talked about in the beginning when we were getting to know each other. So we knew, what our limitations were, and we agreed on those. So to Netta's point, we're not 25 years in, but we definitely have a good foundation of really knowing where our boundaries are as it pertains to, what the outside world is doing.
So media, and I'm gonna let Shayla or Theo jump in too, but anybody can answer this question too or join the conversation. So media and society has us thinking that as single women and as married women, you just better expect your man to cheat and just mind your business, or monogamy is not normal, or if you're gonna go with the flow. I've had people men inbox me and tell me, if you're gonna go with the flow, or you're gonna be single for the rest of your life, or you live in an unreal world. Like, that's unrealistic trait that a man will be monogamous. What are you talking about? And with the acceptance of infidelity amongst our younger women who are being bombarded with these media images, how do we get past that? Do we believe that? And Theo or Shayla, you can jump in as far as, do we believe what the media is telling us? Do we believe our own eyes? Because we're seeing this on a regular basis, that either you conform or you'll be stuck by yourself.
I don't believe that. And I don't believe that because I have male cousins in my life and influences and brothers that have definitely told me that is not the truth. And most men that are in my life will say the men that are in your inbox saying what they're saying are not men, they're boys.
Oh,
right. So there's a difference between dating a boy and dating a man. Right. So, yeah, a boy may believe that monogamy is not something that is possible, but a man will come into a relationship viewing that differently because they will have gotten to a point where they know what they want as well. Right. And they will be disciplined and ensure that is something that they will not do. So I do believe that there are men that are monogamous and can be monogamous. And I think the difference between the men that say they can't is that they are not they're men, and they're men, right? But they're really boys mentally.
wow.
Yeah. Obviously I'm married to a person who has been on his own journey and historically had been a person who was not monogamous. And the beauty of that disclosure is in his book and things like that, is that we were able to have really in-depth conversations about what he learned, what he does differently, how he's evolved, just all those things are really, really important in our conversation. And without me even doing this, and Trey, you know this because we were on a panel with you before, I have access to all my husband's stuff. And without me asking or feeling like I needed to do that because I trust him. But I have access to, all his devices, all his passwords, his email, just, all those things. Because at this stage in our lives, he's recognized that he had to grow and love himself so that he could properly love someone else and recognize why he felt like he needed to do those things. So to Theo's point about men who feel like they can't be monogamous, they still have some childlike ways and they've got some healing that they need to do. And they've not got some recognition and some accountability that they need to work through. Now, what I will say is that I do try to make sure that I'm a different person sometimes so that we keep it sexy and exciting and interesting. Because we don't want, just because he's got to be faithful, I want it to be fun.
Oh, okay. Oh my!
We're gonna keep it sexy. But monogamy is nothing that I've even concerned myself with. And it's so interesting because I've historically been in relationships where men hadn't been faithful. And I also did my healing work around understanding my dad was a womanizer. And that behavior was so familiar to me that it didn't seem odd. But I had to be like, I can love my dad without loving that behavior. And I have to know I'm worthy of a man who is just into me. Period. And that's where the work needs to happen. So men are out there doing a lot of different things, but to her point as well, I have so many, and Trey, you were at my wedding, I have so many married couples that are phenomenal examples of just really good, faithful, providing husbands. So I've been fortunate in that way, but that's about your mindset and who you attract into your life.
Oh, I love that so much. I love that you say, and I want the women to hear this. I have all my husband's passwords, and not because I had to shake him up, turn him upside down. It was just a natural flow into, I don't have to hide my phone or put my phone down. Babe, here, can you take this? Can you check my email and send this email out? Not, oh, well, hand me my phone so I can unlock it for you. The code is 9999. And see, when we start to think, because we are being bombarded with media and what society is saying, oh, she don't trust you, she wants your this and she wants your that. It should happen naturally, because if you're going into a relationship, and I'm gonna let Shayla come in next after, and if Cherie wants to jump in, if you're going into a relationship thinking that if I need to get his passwords and I must have his passwords, and if he won't give me his passwords, it's a done deal. If you go starting like that, there's some work that you actually need to do internally. So Shayla, are we conforming even a little bit? Because there's little things they say that you should be doing. It's not that serious. Maybe you should change this a little bit. What do you think?
Well, I am call myself old fashioned because this is how I grew up, and I believe in monogamy. I don't care what nobody says. I don't agree with a lot that's going on now, but like Cherie said, to each his own. You do you. But for me, my values are, and I'm selfish. I want my man to myself. Period. I'm not sharing him. Now, my first relationships, they all cheated on me. And later on, come to find out that that's what they grew up with. They saw their fathers doing that. So for them, they thought it was okay. So I think it's a mindset, like was said before. They didn't know any better because this is what they grew up seeing. So for them, I think me dating them back then, in a way, I was ahead of them in a way, because I didn't subscribe, because the women of my generation believe that that's okay. My generation, my culture, where I grew up, the country, because I'm Panamanian and Costa Rican. My mom Costa Rican, my father Panamanian. So the culture is that they, and I'm not going to speak for everybody, but what I experience is that they find it okay, that they're the main girl, the wife or whatever, and then everybody else is secondary. But then there's other women's, other children, all that kind of stuff. I never subscribe to that, and I don't subscribe to that, and I will never subscribe to that. And there's a saying that we have, mejor sola que mal acompañada. And that just basically means that I'd rather be by myself than miserable with somebody.
We bilingual up in here and stuff. Come on. Yeah. The men out here, y'all better watch it. Listen, I'm just saying, if you just tuned in, you're tuned into a Woman to Woman show, and we are talking all about what women want in relationships tonight. How rigid should we be? What are deal breakers? Are we allowing men to cross boundaries? What's too much? So we have our dating expert here, Cherie Syfax, and we're just having a candid conversation. And this is a mature conversation for women 40 and over who have been through life's changes. And we're just trying to get to the next level without the disappointment and hurt, even though we know we may be disappointed again, but we're just trying to navigate through this thing a little bit different from our 20s to our 40s so that we can be married in a year. And if you don't think it's possible, our dating expert here got married in 1 year exactly and been featured in OWN magazine, New York Times, and Essence.com. So ladies, we have to have an intention, like she said. We cannot settle. We cannot listen to media. We cannot listen to society. We have to know who we're dealing with, what their morals, what their values are. What are you willing to compromise? Or what are you willing to sacrifice? Cherie, are we sacrificing too much just to be in a relationship?
I think some women are. Some women can be. I don't think everyone is. But I do think that some women are not negotiating an outcome that is as beneficial for them as it can be for the man. And I think some of that comes from, unfortunately, a sense of desperation energy. Some of it comes from a lack of wanting to be alone. Some of it comes from a need for financial support. So when we trust in ourselves enough and we can be alone and complete and be our own friend, and we don't have to have an external person who's not good for us or who's toxic, be our friend, or if we are able to position ourselves financially where we don't have to rely on someone, or if we're able to, just make sure that we don't have to be have to have a man by any means, and we are patient and we wait and let that right man find us, court us, pursue us, then we don't have to compromise our standards.
She said we should have our own, so we are not in in desperation mode. But and I'll go around the room, each woman can answer this. Do you feel like a lot of men are intimidated by successful, strong, independent Black women? Come on in, Theo.
I'm gonna go back to what I said before. I think it's a mindset. I think there are some men that may not necessarily be at a certain level that are intimidated. But I do agree with Cherie, is that if we as women recognize the difference between needing a man and wanting a man, which will then allow us to wait for the man that will pursue us, and not have to, and I'm saying this from experience, not having to feel like we have to change or adapt to be in a relationship, I think then you will find that man that is okay with a woman who is successful, because they also will be successful, because they will also have their own dreams and visions and goals that they are working towards as well, so that you will have a partnership, right? And so both of you will be growing collectively together, and as well as individually.
Come on in, Shayla.
I'm sorry, I got distracted.
Do you think that men are intimidated? A lot of men, not all
Okay.
men, but do you think we live in a society where a lot of men are intimidated by successful? Because Cherie said, make sure you have your own so that you don't need to compromise the things that matter to
Right.
you.
I've been told that I'm intimidating.
Oh.
I don't know why. I've been told this, and other people's perception of me is that I look like the type that only wants the Wall Street type and the suited guy, and that, which is further from the truth. So I don't. I think where social media comes into play, then perhaps, but yeah, because if we go by the social media and what people are posting, and what they're pretending some people to be, and what they have and what they don't have, perhaps. But I think in real life, when you meet people face to face and you have real conversations, rather than making assumptions or perception from what you see or perceive a person to be something they're not, just by looking at them, if you just have conversations and talk to people, then you find out that it's not.
That was good. Let me ask this question too. So this is for Netta and everyone, but we'll start with Netta. What do you think men are not hearing?
Well, one of the things that I'm aware of is not being celebrating enough.
Oh.
I don't I don't encourage anyone to have their spouse, their significant other, look for celebration or support outside of you. I try to be my husband's biggest cheerleader. So pouring what you want to see in that man, even if he's not where you think he should be, speak to him as if he is that. Again, mindset, not saying settle, not saying not get your expectations met, but meet them where they are and pour. The more you pour, the more you'll receive.
Come on, jump on in, Cherie.
Which question do you want me to answer? About intimidation or?
You can either answer either or.
So a couple things with regard to intimidation. So usually men aren't intimidated by women. That's just, they're the stronger creature of the two of us. What men have shared with me and what I know at times that I've, given off is a very masculine energy. And I think that comes from, again, that corporate climb, that, education climb. So we're really are needing to position ourselves a certain way because we're in spaces where maybe we're the only Black woman or we're the only woman. So we have to feel like we need to assimilate into masculine spaces and be masculine. And the reality is that regardless of what our titles are, regardless of what our incomes are and things like that, ultimately a woman just wants to feel special. Every woman wants the same thing in that way. But it's about the energy that we give off that can attract a man to do those things for us. And I give you an example. So the person I dated before I dated my husband, and I knew I was on my journey because I was getting more like masculine men that were communicating, that were honest, that were faithful. But there was still a little bit of competition between the two of us. Now, I don't put that all on him. I was climbing my career, and I don't know that I was feeding his ego as much as he needed me to. But I knew I needed to tweak a little bit because I was still attracting that, you got a good job, you got it, and not someone who just wanted to cherish me and take care of me and be the really masculine man around me, be chivalrous. And so I just kept working a little bit more, talking to myself in the mirror, like really getting into my room space, really being flirty and feminine to myself. That's where I started first. And then I attracted my husband, who is not only he's successful, but my husband's an introvert, actually. And if he was intimidated by me, he wouldn't have even probably dated me. But because I had really leaned into that feminine power, I think we don't give that enough credit. It's the way we are made, and it's what we need to, it's what, from a nature perspective, we need to always go back to, because, we're like magnets. So opposite, positive and negative, they're magnets. They repel if they're both the same thing. So if we're both masculine, like we're both repelling, versus if we're positive and negative, then we are attracted to each other. So that's just really, really important. So I think where men claim the intimidation is the woman that's walking through the door with her credentials, the woman that's saying she doesn't need a man. She got a house. She don't want no drama. She don't need no man. If she is holding you to the fire when you didn't call and when you didn't do this and you was 2 minutes late and you didn't coordinate this date, or you said we was gonna go here, but the parking is better over there. And that's intimidating for anyone. Not just men. So those are the things to think about, when we're having that conversation around intimidation, especially as executive women who have been single for a while, because we get into our ways as well. And it's difficult to really let love in, let that man in.
Oh, it's difficult to let. Ouch. You telling the man where to park. No, you on the left side of the lot. I don't like that side. We got listen to the dating expert. She got married in a year, so I got my ear to the computer. I
know.
I'm up in here like, wait a minute, hold up. I need to hear what you're talking about. So if let's shine the mirror. Let's turn the mirror on ourselves.
Yeah.
What would we say? Go ahead, Shayla.
I'm sorry, Trey. There's just one. I wanted to answer that. I'm taking notes so that I get distracted and I answer the question. But you had asked what I meant not hearing it is one thing that I feel strongly about in my experience, that they're not hearing when you say, "Tell me the truth." Oh. They don't. They think you don't really want to hear the truth because they don't think you can handle it. Because I've said that many times to many of the men that I've dated, and they never believed me that I really wanted to hear the truth. And I think it's because they don't like how they felt if the truth hurt me.
Right.
So
Can I jump in here for real quick?
Come
sure.
on.
So when we create a peaceful place for men, they will feel safe to open up to us. If
Hmm.
we don't create a peaceful place for them, then it is challenging for them to tell the truth. Because think
Hmm.
about it. If they told the truth to somebody in the past and she went off or got
Right.
crazy or got hurt, that was a negative experience. So if they really, really like you, then they don't want to have that negative experience. They're just as concerned with your outcome as well. But if
Mhm.
over time we create a space for them to feel comfortable having the hard conversations with us, then that can shift and make the difference if it's the man for you.
Well, they certainly weren't because they were because I thought and I agree with you. I thought I created that space and I thought I made them comfortable enough to feel that they could be honest with me, about whatever. But that was not the, so I found that, for whatever the reason was, but you're right. Perhaps they were not. Obviously, they were not because I'm still single. They weren't the they were not the men for me. So but yes, I prefer 1000% to be hurt, a little hurt by the truth than, by a lie. And I know that was said earlier when we started the conversation, but that's my spiel on that.
I agree. There are a lot of men who are afraid of the truth themselves. They're just afraid of the consequences of the truth, right? And we just have to accept a man who has not grown in that space. We have to accept the fact that there's still work that he needs to do. And we have to thank God, right? A lot of men who are not grown or who have areas and pockets that they need to grow in, we have to thank God that God removes them from our space, however he does it. It hurts to be ghosted, right? It hurts for a man to just not call you again. It hurts for him to just disappear. But do you really want that in your life anyway? I mean, it takes time to heal from that pain, but and we got to let go of why did he do that? It has nothing to do with you and everything to do with him. And this is how we move forward, right? And I know I've done a lot of work on myself, so it's easier said than done. If you yourself as a woman have not worked on yourself, it's not as easy as it sounds. But being that I've done work, I've worked with a coach, I've been to a therapist, it's not easy for me to just disregard people, but it's easy for me to honor myself in this season of my life. So let's go to this next question. So we're going to turn the mirrors on ourselves, right? Because we always try to figure out when a relationship ended, the man did this or the man did that. And we want the men to hear some things about us. What would you say from your last relationship, everybody? What would you say from your last relationship that if you knew what you knew now, you would have changed it because that was your part? Like Cherie said, when a relationship breaks down, there are two people involved in it. What is the thing from your last relationship that you said, oh, that was from the last three relationships? Okay, I'm not going to take this one because I'm trying to get me a husband or I'm trying to keep my husband. What is that? What is that thing? And anybody can chime in first. I know this
I'll
is
say,
okay.
yeah, definitely for when I had to look at myself and the part that I played, is that I never thought of myself as being a needy person because my interpretation of needy was clingy, and I definitely wasn't a clingy type. But there was a need that I had that, unbeknownst to me, I was looking to get fulfilled, but was always the wrong people. So I was attracting the wrong man to fulfill that need that I didn't know I had, if that makes sense.
Yes.
So thanks to Trey, the recovery room and sessions with her, and also a therapist, I went to the root of that problem. And it comes from childhood trauma that I didn't even realize I was dealing with and was affecting me as an adult and me dealing with men. And so once I found out what that root issue was, and started working on it and working on myself, then I can stick to my um my must-haves and non-negotiables, which I had but really wasn't sticking to it, which was actions speak louder than words, um and consistency and truth telling. The signs were all there. He wasn't consistent. I gave him a pass for a lot of things. I didn't ask the hard questions. So, but that was on me. So now I know better. And I haven't been tested because again, I'm still single. but but at least now I know I'm more aware and more awoke. Is that right? Does that sound right? I'm awakened. I can see better. So I don't want to go through what I went through again. So I'm a little bit more guarded as to um not to not let anybody in, but more careful and follow the signs when they're in front of me.
Wow. Come on, Netta.
My mistake, I think the greatest one is not knowing what I wanted,
Oh,
not knowing who I really was, not knowing what I wanted, not even being able to communicate that because I wasn't aware. So again, this happened in my early 20s. Just ignorant. I
right.
didn't know enough. I didn't have the skill set to even be dating. I needed to focus on me and grow as a person before I could ever express what my needs were. So that would have been my biggest mistake.
Oh, wow. Theo?
I will say I probably will echo both Shayla and Netta, but I will say for me, it really was the fact that I love. And so I would think probably in my 20s, 30s, 40s, even up into my 50s, right? It's amazing. I didn't realize it, right? Until I went through the recovery room and really started looking at myself and recognizing how, although I would say I wasn't settling, I really was settling. Although I saw the red, green, yellow, purple flags, I was ignoring them by making excuses for the individual. But I would say, in all reality, it really took me taking a step back and looking at myself and recognizing that it's great to love, but that doesn't mean that you um, give sacrifice yourself, right? Like I know when I went through therapy, one of the things that my therapist said to me that will always stick with me was that, right? That sacrifice doesn't mean that you give your entire self away, right? Like, and so for me, I think I've learned that it is necessary for me to take a step back and really get to know the person, communicate, but also be clear on what it is that I want and have my non-negotiables. And not that there'll be petty things, but really know what it is that I want. I think now I know what I want in a relationship. And one thing I will never do again, although we can never say never, is I'm not going to make excuses for the things that a man does, right? That I feel are not um, in my best interest.
And I'll say mine's is the one flaw I had, and I always tell women all the time, the only person that has to honor your boundaries and your non-negotiables is you. Nobody else. And if for years, I can't say my last relationship that I was just in, but in previous relationships, I said these are my non-negotiables. But when they happened, I didn't honor them, and it just gave the person another opportunity to cross those boundaries that I had drawn the line in the sand that he crossed over and over. So in the next relationship, I was prepared to honor my non-negotiables. Excuse me. So I would encourage women, if you have non-negotiables and boundaries, to understand that the only person that needs to honor them are you and only you. And when somebody crosses those boundaries, it is at the beginning we have to establish these non-negotiables, right? We can't just be willy-nilly, like Cherie said. We have to establish these non-negotiables in the beginning. Like You can't hit me. You can't cheat on me. You can't be addicted. Other than that, if we're married, we're going to keep the gloves on and we're going to fight this thing out. So that's what we need to do. So, Cherie?
I have a version of all of those, but the one that I know as I was just kind of evolving was the need to defend myself, the need to be right, or to justify some of my behavior. Sometimes it's okay just to say, you know what, wow, I did not realize that I was impacting you like that. That wasn't my intention, and I apologize. How can I, or what's the next step? How can I make this better? Instead of saying, I didn't do that. I didn't, like, I would always defend myself. Or when in part of the, as a part of that, listening to respond versus really hearing your partner. So now it's, Tracy is so important to me that if I'm winning some battle, that means the Syphax war is being lost. And I don't have to win battles. I want us to win the war. So if that means being humble, if that means and it doesn't mean he walks over me by any means. If that means waiting until our Sunday conversation that we have, where there's not the emotion, where we can both hear each other differently, I can wait. Even if I think he was wrong, I don't have to point that out. I don't have to make him feel less than. Men have very, very sensitive egos, and all that defending and rationalizing and arguing my point, it tears people down. And it doesn't, I know I have a vocabulary that's more expansive than most people, or that a lot of people. So I know exactly what I'm doing when I'm doing it. And it's not necessary in love and really in life. It's a defense mechanism to hide or hurt some insecurity that you have in yourself. So those are the things that I learned.
Whoa! I love y'all. So we are at 8:52. So we're going to get into our final thought round. If you just tuned in, you're tuned into the Woman to Woman show. We are here every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the New You Nation Network YouTube channel and a Woman to Woman show Facebook page. We would love to have your questions, your comments, and topics that you would like to discuss with us. We would love to know, for the 40 and over crowd, what is it that you need? We have so much stuff coming in through media, on TV, streaming, for everybody else but us. So we just need to know what you need. And tonight our topic is what grown, y'all just heard grown women just now articulate. No, for real. That was real grown, Cherie, and all of the ladies. That was grown to say, I could wait till Sunday to have this conversation. I don't have to just go in the bedroom tonight while we having a good time and just pounce on my husband and be like, yo, today you was, and tomorrow. It's grown to have a set day, to set goals, to sit down and talk to your husband or your wife to say, where can we grow? What do you need? What do you need? Because this is grown conversation. That's why I'm saying the younger people, you may not get this, and we hope you get it now, to save you years and years and years of trials and tribulations. If you could just listen to us, but we know you're on your journey and you have to take your own ride in your own car of life. But to our older women, not older, yes, we're older women. To our older men and women, we get to do this second half of our life right, on easy street. We already done paid the price. So let's ride this thing out and have these conversations of how to deal with your man or how to deal with your woman. So we're going to go to our final thoughts. So what would each of you say as a final thought? What would you want to say to men right now? Like, what would be one thing that you would actually want all men to hear who are tuned in, and will be of value to women who are also listening? And whoever wants to go first can go first.
I'll go. Please, please, please. We're all different women. Do not put us all in the same box. Just like you wouldn't want us to put you in the same box and saying all men are dogs. Not all women shop together. Not all women do certain things that women have been stereotyped to do. We're all different. We're all individuals. Get to know us as we are.
Ooh, that was some good stuff right there. Who wants to chime in next?
I think I'll chime in because I don't know that I really have a thought for men. So I would agree with Shayla. I mean, I think I was thinking more so of what to say to my younger self, which would be to younger women, right? Which is definitely get to know yourself, right? Get to spend time with yourself. And also, something we did learn in the recovery room is really sometimes just you need to move men from the equation so that you can really focus on who you are, what you want, and really be true to yourself so that you can go into a relationship whole, so that you will know when you meet the man that is whole. So I think that's the one thing that I would say for a man is I'm not expecting you to be perfect, but I would really want them to be in a space where they have either done the work or they are doing the work and they're willing to grow together
Mm,
with a woman that is also not perfect.
wow. Wow. Did y'all hear that word? Eight WHOLE. Whole. Theo says she want a whole man. That's all. Like not perfect, just whole. Cherie, I want to save you for last. So let's go and let Netta, because we're gonna let you close us out tonight. Netta.
As you all were sharing, I was thinking of my husband, my father, my brother, my son, and knowing that somebody's always watching you, be a person worth watching.
Oh,
So, for like my husband has a mentor, he has friends, accountability partners, friends who hold each other accountable when they're slipping, when they can do things a little differently, not just in marriage and relationship, but career wise. There's a saying, you become like the people you spend your time with. Be mindful of that and take advantage of who's in your circle to become a better version of yourself so that, and in my instance, my husband can be the man my son can look to, and my
mm,
father can be the man that my husband and my brother can look to. So just think about somebody, be worth watching.
mm, be worth watching.
I
Man,
love
oh,
that. That
man.
is going to be the tagline of the
I
night.
love that. I love that.
Be worth watching. That's for everybody. I'm going to say my final thought will be love yourself. Because when you love yourself, you are capable of loving others, right? When you love yourself, you are a person of integrity, right? You won't cheat because you love yourself. You want to look in the mirror and be able to look at yourself and say, I'm doing this for me. I'm a good person. I'm a good man. Change for you. Be great for you. We women over like, what are you looking for? Somebody asked me, what are you looking for in a husband? I said, I'm looking for a man that loves himself so that he can love me properly, that he love himself so much that he would not disrespect, dishonor, or discredit himself. So I'm attached to that. I'm attached to the fact that he loved himself so much. It ain't about you, Trey. It's about my integrity. It's about when I look in the mirror. It's about when I go to my father. It's about when I know that I know that I know that can't nobody pull my phone up, that can't nobody call your phone, because I am a man of integrity. I love my body, so I'm not sticking my penis in everybody. I love my body, so she don't get to touch me. So I would just encourage men, just love yourself. Love yourself beyond anything. Love yourself enough to be a man of integrity. And for the women watching, please make sure that he loves himself. And because a person who does not, and this goes for men and women, a person who does not love themselves is not capable of loving anybody. So if you just tuned in, you're tuned into the Woman to Woman show. We're here every Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please go and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Please share, 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 share. If you took any nuggets away, go share it with a friend. We're here to nurture. We're here to encourage, empower, and motivate. So we're going to go to Cherie, our guest for the night. Thank you so much, Cherie Syfax. You have
Oh,
been
thanks for having me.
phenomenal. Your words have been fruit to our ears. God is pleased, and I want you to know that. And
Thank you.
all the things that you're doing. If you are not following Cherie Syfax, please follow them on Instagram. Just Facts at Just Facts. They have a wonderful show that they do. They give dating tips. They talk about, because someone in the comments says she wants to know more about the Sunday. And if you follow them, they talk all about their practices as being a marriage, what they did along the dating journey, how they sit down on Sundays to prepare their goals, to talk to each other. Just please follow them. Just follow Cherie and Tracy Syfax, and I promise you, they will enlighten you and give you some great things. So before we go, Cherie, I just wanted to say thank you so much. And I'm sure the Beauty Flies would like to thank you as well.
Oh, thank you guys for having me so much. And what I would tell Black men is you are beautiful. You are perfect. We know that this world deals you a tough hand, but remember, we are kings. We have created the pyramids. We have mastered language. There is nothing more beautiful than Black love, and we can only have Black love with you. So to Trey's point, heal yourself, love yourself, and know that the reason why we are enslaved people is because you were the strongest and the most mentally prepared to do that work, to build nations. So don't let anyone tell you anything differently. And the more you tune into that part of who you are, we can start really working together and healing our communities.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. Please follow, friend, and like each of us on social media. I'm going to go around the room so you guys can just tell them your handles. I am at Trey Kearney, TrayKearney, at TrayKearney. Netta, please tell them where they can find you.
I am Holistically Motivated on Facebook and at Holistically Motivated LLC on Instagram.
Shayla?
shayscorner.com. And all my handles are from that website. You can see all my other social media handles.
Theo? Unmute.
I am Theodora Carter on Facebook and Theodora Carter 428 on Instagram. And like Shayla, if you click on my Linktree link, you will see all of my other information as it relates to my websites, etc.
Mrs. MRS Syfax.
I'm Cherie Syfax. Tracy and I have a an IG page at Just Facts. That's JUSTP, like Paul, HAX, the last four digits of our last four letters of our name. Our website is www.justthefacts.com. You can Google us. We would love to have you. And on Facebook, we're just our own name, Cherie Syfax and Tracy Syfax. So thank you for having us.
Thank you so much for tuning into the Woman to Woman show. We look forward to seeing you next Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Peace and blessings, and we'll see you guys next week.
Woman to woman, you lift me up. I hope that I can do the same for you. You were there when no one else would. Take the burden away, that's how we do. Sister, I need you to walk with me on this journey. Yes, hold me accountable, cause sometimes I need to know the truth. Sister, I love you. We're one and the same, cause we're sharing the pain.